looking at the patient holistically is very important. And what we know about risk factors, we're very much, everyone knows the traditional risk factors for heart disease. And when we talk about heart disease, we're talking about coronary disease, atherosclerosis. There's a lot of other things with heart disease, but we're mainly, the number one killer for both men and women and postmenopausal women is coronary artery disease. We get 1 million people die every year from it, 20 million globally. So this is a big, big problem. And we look at traditional risk factors like smoking and hypertension, high cholesterol, but the atypical risk factors are equally important. And that includes the things you've said, like toxins, but also hormones, women, postmenopausal state, stress, no connection with others, isolation. All these things are super important in terms of identifying which patients are at risk and then determining what happens. Cholesterol is not the problem. Cholesterol happens as a reaction to things, but the problem is the way we expose ourselves. This is a completely preventable disease. If you look at studies like in the Vietnam War, for instance.
Right.
I don't know if you know about these studies.
Yes, I do. Okay. I love these studies.
Where they, they looked at these, tragically unfortunate GIs, young men, 18 years old. Every single one of the Americans had a fatty streak or some form of atherosclerosis. Well, when they looked at the Vietnamese boys, which all, they didn't have it. So it's a disease that occurs because, we have a very advanced society, and we're very stressed.
Right.
We're in front of computers.
Right.
We take kids and we get them out of bed in the morning to make them go to school. Those are all stressors that, add up at the end of your life or in the middle of your life to create problems. And then we get a reaction. And one of these reactions is increasing of some of these lipoproteins. And the lipoproteins are like little fire trucks that go around trying to put things out, like toxins. We're exposed to a lot of toxins. They did a study in Italy looking at carotid endarterectomy specimens. 100% of them had some form of microplastic in it. So, some of these things are very hard to avoid, but you have to look at the entire picture in order to get an idea about where a person stands and how to approach what they do.
And you talk about it being so individualized because we can have certain markers for cholesterol that will predispose you to having these smaller particles of LDL versus not having those. And how do you individualize your care, and what approach do you take towards each patient you see?
Well, the patients usually have some sort of predominance of a problem.
Okay.
Either they have inflammation going on, and let's say their gut is inflamed, then I focus in on their gut. A lot of patients think they wonder why I start asking them questions about their gut. It's because, as being in this field, the gut is a primary source of inflammation. Right. So if you don't take care of that, like if you just give them a statin and say, get your cholesterol down, it's never going to get better. The inflammation is going to continue, and it's going to continue causing the arteries, because the inflammation travels from one part of the body to another part of the body and will continue. So you need to find out what's going on. Is it a metabolic problem, like insulin resistance? That's a huge problem. Okay. And if someone has an insulin resistance problem, if they're overweight, if they have a lot of visceral fat, if they have a fatty liver, you have to take care of that. Or no matter how much you get their cholesterol down, how much statins or drugs you give them, they're not going to get better. Right. So you have to address all these issues. If they're mitochondria, which are the little powerhouses in the cells, are not working properly, you have to get them to work properly. Right. And if they have oxidative stress, then this affects the heart, affects cancer risk, this sort of thing. So it's you have to be able to differentiate all these things.